Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So, I'd say that the Xbox Series S has kind of lived up to its promise this generation. It's advertised as this true next-generation console at more of a budget-friendly price at just $300, and that's exactly what you're going to get. It's a great next-generation console at its price point, but it's now sounding like it's going to get even better. Yeah, that's right. Team Xbox did just confirm a new graphical upgrade that will push the boundaries of the Xbox Series S just that much further. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? So we're going to touch upon that a little later on today, as well as yet, unfortunately, another big game delay. I know, it just feels like the entirety of 2022 up to this point has kind of been delayed into next year, and that does continue on, unfortunately, so we are going to talk about that one as well. Before we get started though, if you do want to be notified when I drop these News Dose videos, which is every weekday by the way, go and hit that bell notification and subscribe button below. I mean, if you like games and if you like news, this here is the place to be. Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Ouya, Stadia, it doesn't really matter. We're all gamers here, we're all family, so go ahead and make sure to hit that follow button for regular updates. Let's go and jump into the news though, starting off with an Xbox leak. It does appear that they're prepping to release a new Elite Series 2 controller, as both pictures and video have leaked out online showing a new white edition, which I personally think looks absolutely fire. Now, per usual, I'm not going to show leaked images on my channel for copyright reasons, but I will go ahead and leave a link in the description below. Definitely go check that out if you are indeed interested. But basically, it's a two-tone controller with the body being white, with all white face buttons, and then it has those black rubber grips that the Elite Series controllers are known for, with black interchangeable analog sticks. It also has a silver D-pad and silver logo button. Again, just go and check out the pictures in the description below, but I think that this all just looks very sharp together. Of course, up to this point, there was only the standard black edition, and then there was also the Halo version, which looks very good by the way, but I really do genuinely like this new white edition a lot. The only thing about all of this though is that if you are interested, just kind of know that the Elite controllers are premium devices, and that does mean that you're going to have to pay a premium price for it. We're talking about $150 plus when they do eventually announce it, so you're going to have to fork over a lot of money, but I will say for myself, I did own the first Elite controller that they made, and they are very good controllers with a lot of personalized customization. You get what you pay for, and from a design standpoint, when it comes to competitive gaming specifically, it was probably the best design controller that I've ever owned personally. So if you are on the market for a new competitive controller, you might want to go ahead and keep an eye out for what looks to be a new Xbox Series Elite 2 controller that could be releasing later this year. Let's go and talk about Xenoblade though, or more specifically, about the future of this franchise. Of course, Xenoblade 3 released just last month, and I'm sure a lot of you all out there are still playing through that game, as, you know, it is a rather long game. But that hasn't stopped Monolith Soft from talking about what's to come next. Yeah, they're getting this out in open very quick, but the senior director and series creator did note that Xenoblade 3 is a stopping point and a conclusion for what began with Xenoblade 1 back in 2010. Fret not though, because if you do want more Xenoblade, well, he did continue on to say, quote unquote, while it is a conclusion, that does not mean it is the end of the Xenoblade series. It is just a stopping point in my mind. I think that everyone who played this title and the additional stories in the expansion pass can imagine what lies in the future for Xenoblade. So there you have it. If you do like the Xenoblade franchise, as I very much do myself, they absolutely are looking to continue on beyond the third installment, which I personally think that that is fantastic news. I think that this franchise here has kind of cemented itself as one of the all-time greats within the genre. And Monolith Soft, I mean, they're only getting better at what they do. We really saw that with Xenoblade 3 as they majorly improved the combat and things like that. So I think with that in mind, this could be one of those staple Japanese franchises that we hear for years and years to come, alongside games like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Persona, and all those household names. I think Xenoblade will comfortably sit alongside franchises like those, and I'll be very excited to see how they continue to evolve this series going forward. With the third installment being the conclusion for the first three games, they can kind of play around a little bit more going forward, and I think that that's very exciting. We did see them play around with some new ideas in Xenoblade X, and maybe we'll see more things like that in the future. At the end of the day, though, what you need to know as a fan is that if you do like Xenoblade and if you want more games going forward, well, it sounds like that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's go and talk about that Xbox Series graphical upgrade, though, because Team Xbox did directly confirm themselves that they're pushing out a new update for their development kits that will help developers unlock even more power behind the Xbox Series, specifically with the Xbox Series S. Now, the thing about the Xbox Series S is that I think that it's delivered on its promises, as I stated earlier. It's advertised as this affordable next-generation device that can give you the performance and also the load times that you would expect when it comes to a next-generation device. You know, in a lot of ways, there's the big improvements for this generation. No longer do we have to wait minutes for our games to load up because we now have those NVMe solid-state drives. And then we can also just kind of say goodbye to that quite frankly sluggish 30 frames per second that we saw on the Xbox One and then the PlayStation 4. 60 frames per second is a massive improvement in terms of performance, and thanks to the major upgrade in CPU power this generation, most games can run at that buttery smooth 60 frames per second, including with the Xbox Series S. So, with its performance combined with its attractive price point, the Series S is without a doubt a very enticing option, and that's exactly why it's proven to be a very popular console among the general public. Now, however, as we all kind of know, the Series S did of course have to make some sacrifices to lower the barrier of its price point. Now, that really comes down to three main components. The solid-state drive has less storage. It also has less GPU power than a Series X, which is why the Series S is advertised as a 1440p machine. And then lastly, and this is very notable here, it does have less memory. And this has been something that developers have brought up in the past. While the Series X has 16 gigabytes of memory, the Series S instead has 10 gigabytes, or well, actually 8 gigabytes for games specifically. The other 2 gigabytes are actually reserved for the operating system, which, if you listen to the developers, this has been one of the tougher bottlenecks to kind of work around on the Xbox Series S. So this is kind of that area that they could really still improve in, and that's exactly what's happening here. Xbox is listening to feedback and officially confirmed that they're freeing up hundreds of additional megabytes of memory for developers. They're able to achieve this by reserving less for the operating system, which I think is smart because, we play games, not the OS. The most important focus should always be on the games. But nonetheless, they talked about this in a video and went on to say that this gives developers more control over memory, which can improve performance in memory-constrained conditions. So with this upgrade here, as they point out, we could actually see an overall performance boost that could allow developers to reach their targets a little bit more consistently, which really is in the best interest for not just consumers like you all, but also the developers. Again, with the Series S proving to be such a popular option this generation, every ounce of power that developers can unlock on these consoles will go a long way in satisfying consumers. So yeah, absolutely expect developers to take advantage of this as soon as they possibly can. And that's not the only thing that Xbox is doing here. The Verge also mentioned that Microsoft has addressed an issue where graphics virtual addresses were being allocated considerably slower than non-graphics virtual addresses, which, as The Verge points out, that means that Xbox games can now take better advantage of other recent memory enhancements that Microsoft has added to its Xbox developer tools. So all in all, when you hear things like this, technically, yes, the Xbox Series S just got a little better. And really about that's something that we've been seeing pretty much all generation long. Development tools are continuously getting better and better, and with things like Unreal Engine 5 still in the way, these developers will have plenty of tools to really just unlock the power of these consoles, whether that be the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, or in this situation, the Xbox Series S. I've said it before, but I'll kind of say it again here. We haven't even come close to seeing the best this generation has to offer, and I'm pretty confident in saying that. So yeah, just go ahead and buckle up because I think things are about ready to just really heat up, and especially next year in 2023. Now, unfortunately, speaking of 2023, the trend for major delays continues on. It's really not like it's a big surprise by this point. I think we've kind of grown to expect it. But yes, the next major delay is for the upcoming Midnight Suns. You can actually take a look here at their official statement where they say this. We have an important update to share regarding our launch date for Marvel Midnight Suns. After discussion with the team, we've made the decision to move back the launch timing of Marvel Midnight Suns to ensure we are delivering the best possible experience for our fans. We will launch later this fiscal year on Windows PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5, with the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch versions following at a later date. We know fans are looking forward to playing Marvel's Midnight Suns, and we will use this extra time to make sure we are delivering the best possible experience for everyone. Marvel's Midnight Suns is easily the biggest game we've ever made, and we're incredibly appreciative of all the support players have shared with us throughout the years. Thank you. So there you have it, and there are two notable things about this delay. The first of which is that they are still committing to a fiscal 2023 release, as I said here, for the Xbox Series, PC, and the PlayStation 5, which that means that we're likely looking at an early 2023 release if everything goes according to plan. That's always a big question mark anymore, but unfortunately, the Switch, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4 version currently has no timetable. So that's not exactly what you want to hear, but, at least it's not canceled. They are still indeed working on it. It just might take a little extra time. The other part about this, though, is that this is actually the second significant delay that this game has received. It was originally slated to release early in 2022, so you have to wonder what exactly is happening with this game. Is it just them polishing things up, or is something else a little bit more significant happening here? Now, I have seen some theories online about a possible gameplay change because when they first announced this game, fans were originally pretty excited about its potential. This is a Firaxis game after all, which is the studio behind the popular XCOM series, so the combination of XCOM gameplay with Marvel-based heroes, that sounds like a pretty cool idea on paper. But once they actually revealed its gameplay, it kind of threw fans off because its gameplay centers around a card-based system. Not everybody was exactly thrilled with that idea, and because of that, some fans have kind of theorized that maybe Firaxis is delaying this game because they're trying to redesign that element, which could explain its lengthy delay here. Now, I'm not exactly sold on that theory, though. While I do think that it does hold some merit, I don't really want to speculate too much unless we hear something like that directly from the developers themselves. We've really seen delays like this all generation long, so, from the things that we know right now, I don't think that there's really anything concrete that leads me to believe that this was to change its gameplay. I guess we'll see, though, but again, even though 2022 has been rough with all these delays, well, at the very least, 2023 is looking really, really good. In the meantime, though, we can all just kind of catch up on our continuously growing backlogs. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, if Microsoft completes the Activision Blizzard acquisition, when do you think the deal will be finalized? And as you can see here, 56% of you all believes it will be finalized in 2023, then 34% of you all, which is actually quite a lot, believes that it'll be finalized in 2022, and only 5% of you believes that it will be blocked. Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if this ended up getting blocked. I really don't expect that to be the case. The more we've heard about this acquisition, it doesn't sound like the FTC has much that they can challenge legally. Microsoft certainly wouldn't have a monopoly in the game industry, but the way everything is just kind of going right now, it does sound like 2022 is actually possible. We've heard this from a few different sources now, and if Microsoft ends up pulling this off, that would be a huge, huge win for Xbox, especially this holiday with games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 releasing. Not only would Xbox be able to include Activision Blizzard's backlog in the Game Pass, but they could potentially put Modern Warfare 2 into Game Pass as well. And that could potentially drive significant, and I mean significant growth for Xbox Game Pass. Now, whether that actually happens, though, now that kind of remains to be seen. This is a massive acquisition and everything, and it is expected to go through a lengthy process. So 2023 is probably the safe bet here. So I do understand why the majority of you would vote for 2023. That does make a lot of sense. But what I do know, though, is that it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next couple of months. At the very least, we should start to get some updates from different regulators on whether or not they have any issue with this acquisition. And of course, as soon as we hear anything on that, I will let you all know as soon as possible. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.